All right. Now, switch gears here from that situation over to Epstein. And the Epstein situation is one that is disturbing for so many reasons, but even above and beyond him. You know, I've been concerned about human trafficking in South Florida well beyond Epstein, and it seems like that particular case takes all the oxygen in the room. We had the escalation out in human trafficking cases that were cracked down on over the past year. Brought you yesterday 1,771 victims identified just in the last year in Florida. Huge problem beyond the Epstein of the world. But pertaining to his case, we're joined now by Dr. Carmen, criminologist, and it's always good to talk to you, Dr. Carmen. We take a look at the situation with Epstein. A lot of people have said from pretty much the word go, the situation was suspicious. The medical examination, a lot of people are not buying. You had experts saying, no, that is not consistent with somebody who committed suicide. Now we have charges being brought against the prison guards responsible for the oversight. They are pleading not guilty. What are your thoughts on this situation?
Well, thanks for having me again. Look, when you look at this case, and especially what's happened in the past few weeks is, ever since we heard of his attempted suicide or his suicide, everything just did not make any sense, right? So here's a person that attempted to take his own life, and then they put him back in a cell where the cameras are not working, the shift guards are not really present. They put him with somebody else from the facility. So there were so many irregularities that typically when you have cases like these, you find maybe one or two instances where something may have gone wrong. But in this case, it seems like everything went wrong. So it's either utter incompetence or incredibly malicious components. And we're trying to find out here exactly what's going on. But as of yesterday, we learned that there is an FBI investigation that's pretty significant.
Well, let me ask you a potentially unfair question. So if you have somebody like Epstein, who obviously is connected to some of the most powerful people in the world, and he is in a confined space, and you have a lot of people that would have reason to be concerned if he were able to testify to situations that could implicate them, and if you have medical experts that say that the injuries, the cause of death, not consistent with him having committed suicide, and you have these irregularities with the guards. In your experience, what are the odds all those things would work and they would all just be a coincidence?
Look, I teach statistics at the graduate level at our university, and I can tell you that we use the word statistical improbability and statistical impossibility, and I think both of those two terms actually apply to that instance. Like I said before, having all of those things go wrong in one particular case is very unlikely. Now, given that, in addition to that, put the factor that here you have a guy who is incredibly famous or infamous, who is receiving national and international coverage, who is tied to the most powerful people, as you said, throughout the world, and you're going to put him in a cell with somebody else where one of the cameras isn't working, the guards are just kind of doing their own thing. I mean, it's just incredibly inconsistent with what the Federal Bureau of Prisons would have done with a high-profile inmate of this caliber. So I would say to you that something smells here rotten, and I think we're going to find out. I think we may never find out what the source is, but we're certainly going to find out if there was any malice behind this.
Really appreciate you taking the time, sharing the insight, and what you're saying is it was kind of where my hunch is as well. Thank you very much, Dr. Carmen, and you may follow on Twitter as well, DC Consulting TX on Twitter.